Okay, today I'm going to show you how to make some trout worms using some surgical tubing. This is the surgical tubing, and here's the end result. Get some of these trout worm looking things. I've made a bunch so far, but I'll explain the surgical tubing in a second. What I'm going to do is use a meat injector. This meat injector doesn't have the needle on it. I took it off because I really don't need the needle that goes on the end here. However, that little nipple right there is perfect fit for the surgical tubing I have. So what I'm going to do is I'll remove this plastisol here. It's green. You don't need it, and I'm going to use this more dark. This is a dark green, almost black plastisol. And what I did was I chopped it up with a knife. It's all in little chunks. Melts easier that way. I'm going to put it on for a minute, take it out, stir it, put it on for another 30 seconds, and it should be perfect. So I'll pop that in the microwave there. And during this minute, I'm going to show you what I did with this surgical tubing. You can get this offline. You can get it anywhere offline, really. Whatever site you want to go to. I can't tell you the measurements of it, but it's a real thin surgical tubing. What I did was, in one of the ends, I made a slit right here, so I have something to grab hold of when I push the plastisol through. There's a little slit. It'll just start bleeding out that slit end, so I can grab hold of the dried plastisol and pull that worm out through the surgical tubing. So what I'm going to do is I'll dump the plastisol when it's melted in here, stick the plunger in. I'll get it set up right now. Take the end that is not slit, and I'm going to put it on this nipple here. It fits perfect, actually. Slide that right on there. Like that. Well, now I'll take this out. Alright, my plastisol is warmed up. I gotta mix it and put it on for another 30 seconds. It'll start smoking a little, but we'll be good. Put it on for 30 more seconds. Some of this coffee. Alright, so when that's melted, I'm going to pour it in here, put the plunger in, push it through. You'll see the dark material go through this, and it'll bleed out the end with the slit in it, so I have something to hold on to. I stir it up first because when it's melted, it's all these little bubbles in it. I don't know if you can see. Bunch of little bubbles, and a bunch of little bubbles. You don't want air inside your plastisol unless that's the type of lure you're making. Alright, so what I'll do is dump that bad boy right in there. Doing this without gloves because I'm a dumbass. I'll push this through. Oh. Technical difficulty here. There it goes. We just had a little bit of a plug problem. Let's see, working its way all the way through there. Ooh, yeah. You gotta make sure your end doesn't blow off, which just happened. There's just a little bit of a dried plug in there. Alright. In here, we're gonna let this dry. In there will be our wormies. Always wear gloves, kids. Otherwise you're gonna make a mess. Especially when you do all this hot stuff. The problem is the initial pour inside the meat tenderizer, or the meat injector. If it's cold, it'll instantly form a plug in the end, which just happened, as you saw. Then you have to push real hard, or you have to detach it and reattach it. So it's best to have something to keep the tip or the end of your meat injector warm, so it doesn't instantly cool once it gets poured into this. So there's that. Because once I pour it into here, it instantly cools right at the nipple part, and then it's tough to push through. So I had to detach the surgical tubing and put it back on. Remove the plug and put it back on. Good to have a toothpick so you can clean out that hole. Clean out the hole. Holy, holy. Okay, so that worm inside that surgical tubing should be dry by now. It doesn't take too long. I'm gonna clean up this little mess here. All I gotta do is pinch and roll, just like a booger. Pinch, roll, flick. Doesn't take long for this stuff to dry. Ectoplasm. Ghostbusters or something. I've been slimed. Alright, let's see. Let's see what we have here. I get all this plastisol I can reuse. I usually take the ingot that forms out. The ingots usually form with the stuff you don't melt, or the stuff you don't use in your lures. Just chop them up with a knife first before you remelt them, otherwise they'll burn. Alright, let's see if we can get this out. So I have an end here. And usually, okay, as you can see, you just give it a nice slow pull, and you can see it detaching from the surgical tubing. And here's what it looks like. So just nice light pull. Pull. And just pull it out. Nice and easy. And once it detaches from the inside of the surgical tubing all the way, it slides right through, as you can see. And then you're left with this giant ass worm. And you can leave that giant ass glass worm. Fish with it if you want. I don't. Excuse me. I take my little grade school ruler here, and I think about 3 inches per worm is a good measurement. Excuse me again. So we'll do cut at 3 inches, and luego 1, 2, 3. Cut at 3 inches, and cut at 3 inches, and cut at 3 inches. So here's your little trout worms. These work. Put a little jig head on them. Here's a different color one I made. You put a little 1/32 ounce jig head on them, and you wiggle that right in front of the fish's face. Don't like that, huh? Hopefully. But homemade trout worms. Enjoy.